All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Jumpmaster X podcast. And today we're going to be talking about if training every day made you jump higher, everyone would be dunking. And that's facts. Like, athletes train harder, yet their vertical stalls a lot of the time. So it's not always about how hard you're training, how much you're pushing. You got to make sure you're training smart as well. So it's not about volume, it's about timing, your nervous system, and recovery, right? So the common problem a lot of athletes have is they overtrain. So they're training 6 to 7 days a week, always thinking more is better. And we're here to tell you it's not. More isn't always better. Doing more can hurt you in a lot of scenarios and hold you back from progressing, hold you back from dunking, hold you back from hitting that next big trick dunk that you want to hit. Or it could just be, you want to grow a little bit more a muscle. Whatever it is, training too much can hold you back.
Yep.
So what are the signs someone is doing too much, Tom?
Okay. Well, first sign is just generally like how you feel. A lot of the time, you will know how you feel every single day when you wake up, like your urgency to train. When you really start to overtrain, that urge definitely starts to go. You feel less motivated. So it's definitely one of the first signs. But another sign is just like your actual gym strength begins to go down. And this is literally counterproductive to what you want to be doing. Because at the end of the day, what are you training for? You're training to jump higher. And if you're fatigued and not pushing the highest outputs you can and going up every single week, then you're just training endurance and you're really just training for the sake of training. You're not actually getting any better. So that's where in 99% of cases, you just take some of the volume away, maybe take a training day away, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to come back feeling better, feeling fresher, and be able to push the outputs a lot higher.
Yeah, no, that is facts. So, like, I guess to list the signs out is soreness every day. So, if you're sore every day, that's the sign you're overtraining. So, if your body's not healing and it's not able to heal fast enough, you shouldn't be sore every day. And I would go as far as to say you shouldn't really be sore that often, really, at all. Like, for me, I'm sore sometimes, but I'm not really sore that often. I would say maybe 10% of the time I am sore. What about you, Tom?
Like, it depends on your definition of sore. Are we talking like DOMS or just like general soreness, you know what I mean?
Tightness?
You like tightness or just like, first thing in the morning, you get out of bed, you might be a little like stiff. But other than that, like,
Yeah, we're
you
talking
don't
about
want to be
DOMS,
walking.
muscle DOMS. Like, so DOMS stands for
Yeah,
delayed onset muscle soreness. So how often would you say you have that?
rare, to be honest. Like, yeah, well, you said 10%, if that, to be honest.
Yeah. It's only really when you increase your volume suddenly more than what you used to, you get that soreness, or you introduce a novel stimulus, something that's new to your body that hasn't really experienced too much before, that you get sore. And it shouldn't really be happening too often outside of those things. If you are, then you're doing something wrong in terms of how often you're training, or maybe something in your recovery is off. But however, it's more likely to do with how much you're training. The next thing is your jumps feel heavy and slow. Now, you're going to have to experience some sessions going through this, but if every single session feels like this and you never have a time where you feel like you're floating, where your bounce feels effortless, like you're just gliding up in the air and bouncing off the ground, if that hasn't happened for you, then that's another sign you're overtraining as well. Knees, ankles aching, joints aching, obviously, that can be a
Bad,
sign you're
yeah.
overtraining to an extent. Obviously, with jump training, you're constantly pushing your body week in, week out. So you're going to have a little bit of joint pain. It's almost impossible to never have it and never experience, even if you're doing everything correctly. However, if it's just constant and out of control, and it's, I would say, on average, above a 3 out of 10 out of in terms of your pain level, then that is a problem and that needs to be addressed, and that's a sign you're overtraining as well.
I will say something on that. Yeah, especially because you said 3 out of 10. Once you start getting past that point, it's actually going to stop, your training outputs. Again, back on this whole training outputs thing, it's going to stop you pushing as hard as you can because, it hurts. So that's definitely another reason. It's just literally not going to let you train as hard as you want. And I'll also say that most of the time, yeah, you are right. You will be sore a lot of the time, but it's just like 1 to 3 out of 10 soreness. You've got little pains, little niggles here and there, but that is the game that we're playing. We're pushing our bodies, but pushing our bodies very hard every single day to, make it improve, keep getting better every single week. So, it's one of the things that comes with training hard and training to jump higher. But like you said, yes, you can't let it get out of hand and, get over a 3 out of 10. But yeah.
Yeah. And the last thing is if you're stuck at the same vertical, if you're plateaued, right? So it's very normal for you to say go a month and not see your vertical increase. But if it's been 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and your vertical hasn't increased, that's a problem. And it should have increased by that time. It should have gone up. If you're training smart and you're training correctly, you should see increases. The only caveat to that is if you're injured and you're dealing with an injury or trying to overcome something, and that's the main goal of your training is overcoming that injury. But if you're healthy and you've been pushing hard and your vertical hasn't gone up in months, that's not right. It should have gone up. It should have increased by now. Yeah. So that's another key sign. And the other part is the mental side of it: frustration, burnout, and loss of motivation. Those are key signs to doing too much and overtraining. You know, if you're feeling a bit depressed, you're feeling down, you're feeling frustrated, you just feel, I guess, mentally not there, that can be a sign, a big sign as well. And just having that false belief, I need to grind harder and harder and harder, and your solution is just like I need to train harder and harder and harder, right? The nervous system is a key player in jumping high, right? Like nervous system fatigue. That's if you're overtraining, that's one of the key symptoms of
Mm-hmm.
overtraining is your nervous system, going to shit essentially, feeling fatigued, and that equals less force production. It equals slower signals. Your brain's sending slower signals to your limbs, all the parts of your body, and it's going to slow your coordination down and everything like that. Your muscles could be getting stronger in the gym, but your bounce, it's built when you're recovering. It's built when you're doing less and you're not overtraining. So we've had athletes in this scenario before, Tom. Who comes to mind? Someone that's been overtraining a lot or has overtrained a lot in the past,
Mm,
and then a big
okay.
part of their training and a big part of us working with them is keeping them in line and ensure they're doing the right amount of training and not doing too much. I have someone, but I want to hear you
I got two or
first.
three, so it really depends on if we're talking like overtraining in the sense of doing too much just gym work. I got a guy that comes to mind, Stefan Petrov. I think that's how you pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
He was a go-getter, and he just trained a shit ton before he started, with Jump Master X or Jump X at the time. And yeah, man, he just trained pretty much every single day, pushing like almost his max every single day. And yeah, we just had to really dial him back, get him healthy, and guess what? He jumped higher.
Yeah. Another guy more recently is Daniel Pap,
Mm-hmm.
the Mr. Hungary, the pro from
Hungary,
Hungary.
yeah.
Before he came to us, a big reason he needed us was for accountability to ensure he wasn't doing too much and pushing too hard because he was digging himself into a massive, massive hole. His knees hurt, his joints hurt, his vertical wasn't progressing. He felt sluggish more often than not. He would go into competitions not as ready as he feel like he could have been.
For
And a big
sure.
part of us helping him and a big part of us riding his training was ensuring he wasn't doing too much and that he was recovering properly. And guess what happened? He performed better in shows. He performed better in competitions. He jumped higher. His 2 foot went up. His 1 foot went up as well. His knees hurt less and he was in less pain and he started progressing far more rapidly than before. Simply and we changed a little bit of what he was doing in terms of the exercises and stuff like that. The main thing we did was adjust how much he was doing of everything. And that absolutely changed and transformed his results, right? Now,
Mm,
there's also a hormonal impact here too with testosterone and stuff like that. If you're overtraining, that's going to affect your testosterone levels quite a lot. So that can equal fatigue, that can equal poorer sleep, that can equal more depressive thoughts, everything like that. If
oh
that's
yeah,
dropping too much, I know we've both experienced that. Some of our athletes have experienced that if they're overtraining. It's a real thing. But yeah, overall, less fatigue, it equals more force output. It equals a higher rate of, like, you're producing force faster. So your rate of force
yeah,
development goes up. Your mechanics typically improve in terms of your dunking and your jumping naturally too, because your coordination increases when you're more fresh all the time. Everything is better. Now,
bro. Yeah,
yeah,
I'll say that there's definitely a trend with people from that region of Eastern Europe. It's very hard to find someone. I swear, 99% of them that train with us, they're always like the hardest, hardest training guys. They go super hard in the gym, and yeah, a lot of the time that really is just their problem. It's just they just love training. They just love going hard, and we've even experienced this with guys from Eastern Europe who live in Perth with us, who used to dunk with us. So Yeah, it's a very interesting thing that I've noticed. I don't know if you've noticed the same thing, but
Yeah, no, definitely. I've noticed the same thing. They know how to work, and sometimes too much
yeah.
to their own detriment, like 100%.
But it's a good quality, definitely, to have.
Oh yeah, we would rather train someone like that than someone that we have to. Oh, did you do sessions this week? Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really. I feel unmotivated. You know, we'd rather train someone that's I guess too disciplined and over motivated and pushes too hard than the other end of the spectrum. And most of our athletes are like that, to be honest. But moving on. So the optimal training frequency. So how often should you be training? How can you avoid all these symptoms we've been speaking about? What would you say the optimal amount of training sessions per week someone should be doing, Tom?
I'm gonna go with 3 to 5.
Yeah, and that includes jump sessions.
Yeah, the 3 to 5 includes jump sessions. It really depends on the person, though. I'd say for most, you're probably going to be in the 4 to 5.
Yeah.
The 3 to 5 is more, or the three is more for like someone that plays basketball. You got to take that into account, of course. So yeah, we'll go
Yeah.
3 to 5 as the range for 99% of people.
Yeah, so there's no one answer here. So if you're just free to go, oh yeah, I'm just trying to jump as high as possible, you have no other outside activities, no other sports, no basketball, no nothing. You're just purely focused on dunking and jumping. You can go up to the upper spectrum of that to 5, maybe 6 times a week, including jump sessions. But if you're someone that's playing basketball, that number definitely needs to come down because you need to account for the basketball load. And there's only so much your body can tolerate at one time. And if you exceed that limit, then you run into all the issues we spoke about at the start of this podcast. All right.
No
But
good.
typically
Yeah.
3 to 5 a week. Sometimes we have guys that are under that, like that are even twice a week, and they're progressing just because they're playing a bit of basketball. And we have guys that are a little bit higher than that, up to 6 times a week, just because they're doing nothing in their training age and how much training they can handle is on the higher end of things, and they just love training. So some guys we have it 6 times a week, but typically for most guys, the general recommendation 3 to 5 a week. Now that can be 2 lower body sessions and 2 upper body sessions, and then 1 jump session. It could be 2 jump sessions, 2 lower body sessions, and then 1 upper body. It could be 1 lower body, 2 jump sessions, and then 1 upper body as well.
Right.
There's a range of things that can work. It depends on your goals, and it depends on really you. We have guys that want to build more muscle, so we hit them with 2 upper body sessions a week, 2 lower body sessions a week, and 1 jump session, and that's enough, and they're progressing that way. For me personally, at the moment, I'm hitting lower body twice, I'm hitting upper body twice, and I'm jumping twice. And for you right now, Tom, what does your training look like?
I'm literally same as you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's more than one thing that can work here. It's really hard to give a direct answer exactly what you should be doing because there's so many variables. But yeah, 1 to 2 quality jump sessions a week. If you feel like you're not as gifted as a jumper, I would go 2 sessions a week so then you can work on technique more and focus on
100%.
jumping. That's why I jump twice. We have guys that are a little bit more gifted that can get away with jumping once, and that works for them. But in terms of sprint sessions, 1 to 2 sessions a week, I wouldn't really go because if you're jumping at the same time, I wouldn't really go more than 2 if you're sprinting twice a week. And in terms of rest days, in between that, so obviously 1 to 2 rest days, like maybe 3 days a week as well. And on those rest days, you should try to do as little as possible. Really, you just got to chill. Being honest, so that's where quality over quantity always wins in this scenario because a fresher nervous system is a faster nervous
Yeah.
system.
Bro, yeah, you actually remind me of something like you said on the rest days, you really just gotta chill. A lot of people will be like, oh yeah, man, I'm gonna go do some active recovery. So I went and ice skated for 3 hours. Or they'll be like, I went on a 10K hike, which is fine. If you want to go and do that, that's fine. Because, have a life.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you gotta account for that in your next week of training because that does have impacts. I would say that's a little bit too far in the sense of active recovery. Active recovery is like a 10-minute walk on the treadmill, max,
Yeah.
on a rest day.
No, 100%. So some
Yeah.
actionable takeaways for you guys. Stop training on autopilot and start tracking how you feel. Like use metrics. Use how
Yeah.
high you're jumping. That's a key indicator in terms of how fatigued you are. If your vertical's down 5 inches, that's a strong sign you're
Oh
severely
yeah,
fatigued. But if it's only
a
down
little
two
bit.
inches, like, yeah, not so bad. All right, so that's one thing. Ensure you're using some sort of, I guess, measurement in your training in terms of how hard to push, whether that's rate of perceived exertion. So whether you're using RPE, whether you're using reps and reserve, those two are pretty much almost very similar, the same thing. Whether you're using percentage, so whether you're doing, I'm going to do 70% of my max squat for 5 reps. Now, ensure you're having some sort of guide to follow in terms of how hard you should be pushing in your session. So whether it's RPE, whether it's reps and reserves, whether it's percentage based, or whether it's just kind of like, hey, I'm just going to go a 7 out of 10 effort today, and then next week I'm going to go an 8 out of 10, and then that generally works as well if you want to really simplify things for yourself. But you need to have some sort of guide and something to follow to ensure you're not murdering yourself week in, week out, and destroying your nervous system, because this isn't bodybuilding, it's jump training. You're training like an athlete. You're not training like Ronnie Coleman here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
make sure you have some sort of guide there, okay? Use sleep, soreness, and how you're feeling, motivation as indicators as well, like we spoke about before. So some signs of nervous system fatigue is if you can get it up or not. That's one key one. If your sleep is good, or if it's restless, if you feel motivated to train, or whether you feel like, oh, no, I hate training right now, I really don't want to train, and you normally feel like you really want to train. That's another sign. What are some other signs, Tom?
Oh, I'm just trying to think of my own training. It's really just like, say you go and do your actual gym session or whatever, and just doing like the regular warm-up movements of whatever the exercise is for the day. So say it's back squat and you've got literally nothing on the bar. And you go down, your knees hurt, your back hurts, maybe even your ankles hurt. You've probably under-recovered, but 9 times out of 10, you've just probably done too much, the sessions leading up to that. And I know for a fact that I've experienced that before, and I go, maybe I'm not going to get too much from this actual session because I'm already in a fatigue dip. If anything, I'm just going to push myself further down in that fatigue hole, and it's just going to take longer to bounce back. And really, session quality won't even be that good anyway. But when I continue to try and squats, that's definitely a big one.
No, there's definitely been times where I walked in the gym and then started to warm up, and it just everything just felt terrible, and
you just
like fuck this, and then just cut the session. I knew it just will not be productive, and it would just mean me going backwards more than going forwards. So a really good question to ask yourself is, did today's session or is today's session going to make me better, or is it just going to make me more tired?
Yes.
So that's a big key. Ask yourself that. Think of it like sharpening a knife. Are you sharpening a knife, or are you just swinging the hammer? All right. So
yeah, but to an extent as well, though, because you do want to be somewhat fatigued from your gym session. Like, don't train like a bitch. Like, still push yourself. But I think what Austin's saying is there is a point where it gets a bit silly and you're just pushing yourself way too far down the fatigue hole. And you've already done that 6 sessions prior. So maybe this is the one session where you do need to ease off and, relax a bit.
Actually, to be more blunt, the way I like to put it to people is, train hard and train smart. Don't just train hard and like an idiot,
Yeah, because that's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah.
So we've been discussing fatigue, the impacts of fatigue here. And on our next podcast, what we're going to do is we're going to teach you how to, of course, manage this fatigue, but we're going to teach you how to start feeling even better and how to peak yourself. Say you want to jump high on a certain date, or you have an event like a basketball tournament or whatever. We're going to teach you how to peak for that, how to feel fresh, how to get rid of some of these little, injuries, flare-ups, niggles, and make you feel really good. We're going to help you do that in the next episode. So did you have anything else you wanted to cover or to say? Or
so remember, guys, to close this podcast out, less is more when it's intentional and you're intentional about it. And if you guys are looking for coaching, you wanting help from us, you can apply down below, and there's a link down below. But we'll catch you guys in that next podcast.
See you later.